Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to The Sims 4 and welcome to another speed build. This is our first Enchanted by Nature speed build, but it's not really a fairy house. It could be a fairy house. I didn't build a fairy house. I built a tinker's house. Stick with me, I promise. It gets there. So the thing is there was a very specific chimney with the pack, a little like crooked chimney, a very sort of mishmashed chimney. It looked like it had been repaired a lot of times, and for some reason in my head it didn't really scream fairy, although I can see it screaming fairy. In my head it immediately was like, oh, that's like Disney Tinker. Like honestly I was thinking like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, for those of you who have seen that movie. Like he's like an inventor, a tinker, and I was like, I need to build something like that. And I honestly couldn't remember what his house looked like all that much. And I honestly couldn't remember like what the kids' loft, I believe it was in the barn, looked like. It's honestly been a couple years. It's been actually probably closer to a decade since I've seen that movie. But honestly it was okay, and I didn't want to like go look it up because I didn't want to make that. I wanted to make that vibe, that like nutty professor, inventor, tinkerer's vibe. You know, the like crazy house that doesn't look like it should be standing but also kind of makes sense and definitely was like a thing at one point. And so I was like playing around with that vibe. I knew I wanted like crooked walls. I knew I wanted things jutting out. I was playing with some of the new pack stuff. And honestly, it's kind of funny because you almost don't even notice the chimney in the final build, but that chimney is what started it all. And it kind of grew really like organically on its own, and I really like how it turned out. The roof took forever, and I am showing you the entire roof because you would not believe me if I told you how many pieces there were on here. And that's something that like I still struggle with a lot, is I will watch like Little Simsy build or Vixella build or James Turner build, formerly of the Sim Supply, and like, or Deligracy. I love Deligracy builds, but like they will do roofs so flawlessly, and I'm like, how do you, like, honestly 98% of the builds that don't make it on the channel are because I'm still ticked off about the roof. Or it never, like there's a build right now, there's a really cute little like Victorian build that I am absolutely in love with, but it doesn't have a roof on it right now. Like it has a partial roof on it right now, and I can't bring myself to finish this roof. Roofing is hard, so when I manage to pull off a complicated roof like this, I really want to show you it because I want to prove, like, if I can do a roof, y'all can do a roof. I promise. If I can pull off a roof, someone who regularly cries when things get too hard, like I'm not joking with you, I've cried over Sims build, I promise then you can do this roof. It's just, honestly, it's fully just a patience game, which is not my virtue, I promise you, but it's fully a patience game. If you just push and pull at it enough, eventually you will get to a point where you like it. And also, some bits are just going to be weird, and it's honestly just easier to ignore it sometimes. Like, sometimes you'll just get a weird bit, and you're like, I care about this because I've stared at this. But is anyone else going to care about this? Probably not. You know, probably not. And honestly, that's advice for life. Like, you live with it, so it matters to you, and that's important, and that's valid. But if you're worried about it looking good for somebody else, or if you're worried about it being good for someone else, are they going to stare at it as hard as you were going to stare at it? Probably not. It's probably okay. Okay, we're done being philosophical, though. We're starting to put all the trims on and stuff. And, like, it took a while to get the vibe for the outside, and then it took even longer to get the vibe on the inside. And I am going to warn you now, because I'll forget to say it later. We had a scary moment with this build, because I started building inside, and honestly, I lost the plot a little bit inside because I was just playing with all of the build items. And I was excited about all the new build items, and we lost the plot a little bit inside. But there was like divine intervention, for lack of a better term, because my game crashed. And funnily enough, as I had been saving this whole time, so it shouldn't have lost more than about 5 minutes of work. It took it back down to the bones. It took it back down to the bones. Like, most of the exterior stuck around, but not all of it. None of the interior stuck around. Not only did it crashed so hard it basically uninstalled itself. I had to restart the computer, completely repair the game, and completely reinstall the expansion. I don't know what happened. I'm convinced it was a me issue, but I'm calling it divine intervention because it basically took everything I had done inside and was like, what are you doing? This is not what you set out to do. You set out to build a tinkerer's home, and you're not building a tinkerer's home. And thus we ended up back here. So the windows took me a while, and honestly, I love the way they turned out, but there are parts of it where I'm like, I guaranteed like 2 weeks from now when I come back and look at this, I'm going to want to do it differently. The windows ended up, I was kind of of two minds, because originally I wanted to use the Enchanted by Nature windows, which I use a ton of cottage living in this build, to be clear. Most of the windows I think are cottage living. I think a couple of them are snowy escape, but I believe, oh, and these are get together. I think these little like parapet things. I have no idea what these are. But anyways, originally, the original idea had been to use Enchanted by Nature windows. And the original idea had been to have it be a little bit more like mangled, for lack of a better term, like a little bit more like, I guess, mismatched. I was gonna have every window be different, and the thing was is like I couldn't quite get that pulled off in a way that I liked. It felt, I think it was like, I think the styles were maybe too different. The Enchanted by Nature and like Cottage Living and some of the other stuff. I think there was maybe just like, because the thing I was trying to get at with this home, I know I just started 3 thoughts. I promise I'll finish at least one of them here in the next 20 minutes. The thing I was trying to do with this home was the idea that the tinkerer built it, right? And so there were different things. There are round windows, there are square windows. This window was added later. This window was added before. And I think that vibe kind of fits here, but the thing I realized when I was trying to mix in Enchanted by Nature windows and other windows is the Enchanted by Nature windows are so different. They don't feel like they're built by the same human when you put them, when they're added to a house with other windows. That was the problem I kept coming up against. Like, all of these windows are different and they're from different packs and stuff, but they all kind of feel like the same person could have been working on this house over time. When you added the Enchanted by Nature windows, because they are so incredibly fairy core, it started feeling like that wasn't the case. So I ended up not using those windows. I do want to do a build with those windows. I don't know if I want to do a hobbit hole. I really love a good hobbit hole. If you've watched my Minecraft series, you know I love a good hobbit hole. But I don't know if I'm feeling a hobbit hole right now in The Sims. I'm definitely thinking cute fairy home. I definitely think I have a couple of ideas for cute fairy homes, but I don't know if we're going to be doing a hobbit hole. But there will be like a more fairy build. I don't know if it'll be the next one, because this was supposed to be like an hour's build. This build took me 6 hours. I don't know if I have another big build in me, especially if the game is going to crash, even though I've saved and take everything with it. This build was a lot. But I do want to do some more building with the fairies and stuff. And I've been loving just playing the pack, to be honest with you. I have a little fairy sim. She's really fun. And, and that's kind of the funny thing they did, which I was not expecting, is really, if you play with every part of the pack, if you play with the nature lovers part, like the natural living part, if you play with the fairies, if you jump into like apothecary and stuff, really, you almost don't need a home, which is the point of the natural living trait, right? But like, it's shocking how much you don't need a home. It's actually kind of insane how much you don't need a home. So it's kind of funny to sit here and say like, oh yeah, I want to build a fairy home. Really, they don't need it. My current fairy, like I was just telling you that I've been playing with, she does have a house, but like it was built more because I wanted to build her a house and less because she spends a lot of time in it. Really, she only goes in there when it's thunderstorming, which I will say is maybe the one use case in which you need a house. She's even with the natural living stuff, she doesn't like the thunderstorms very much, which is fair because she was electrocuted. She was also abducted by aliens, which doesn't happen that often to me, but of course my fairy sim had to be abducted by aliens. I don't know. Here I decided to add kind of a topsy-turvy chimney. It's thick in places, but it's because I wanted it to look like it kind of wrapped around the house, and the house sticks out in odd places, and I didn't want to like not have the house stick out in odd places. And I kind of liked the look of like the chimney maybe holding up the house, which does mean if you needed a little bit more space, there's a lot of little nooks and crannies because of this chimney, this real fake chimney, the two-way. There's a lot of like places for closets if you wanted them, or like another bathroom if you didn't want it to just stay a chimney space, which I'm back and forth on. Sometimes I will use the chimney, what looks like the chimney outside, as like a room inside because it's The Sims. It doesn't really matter. Sometimes I will leave it a chimney, like in this case. It really depends. Here's where we started losing the plot a little bit, because I had this idea of like putting the apothecary station up here, which we do, but I was like, maybe this is more like a fairy house that I'm expecting. Like maybe it looks like a tinkerer's house on the outside, but it's being taken over for fairies. So I started doing that. Don't fall in love with this. Don't fall in love with this because unfortunately, it does all disappear. Having said that though, these branches with the little lights, amazing. This couch, phenomenal. I love the apothecary stuff. I did start putting some overgrowth here on the outside. I need to play with the new wall plants more. We got like a little bit more wisteria and stuff. The thing is I'm not really sure how to use them yet. They're very specific pieces and they don't all match. And they don't match cottage living, which I didn't expect them to match cottage living, but I did expect them to kind of go like a little bit nicer, So I'm a little, I gotta figure them out. So I opted to just not add them to this build. Honestly, this build is a little bit more industrial anyway. I really wanted this to be up on a foundation. I decided on the workman's hut because it was probably their job. The workman's hut was separate, like a little like, I'm really, honestly, since that restoration kit, I'm really into like the external workspaces. I'm really, really enjoying that. And there's the crash. You'll notice it's nighttime now. I've reloaded the game. A bunch of things are missing. Yeah, I don't know, dude. For you, it was seconds. For me, it was a whole process. And because it was like actively crashing my computer too, I almost lost the footage as well because I couldn't get OBS to stop. Stressed spaghetti. But I didn't want to leave it in there because a lot of things did change, and I thought, like, I always love when that's included in speed builds because sometimes I like before they changed it. You know, sometimes I'm like, oh, that was really cool before you did a thing. And then I can kind of like live with that idea a little bit. I did ultimately change the layout quite a bit as well too, which you probably maybe didn't get to see as much because it is very sped up. But I ultimately did change where the stairs were quite a bit, which changed the layout of all of the stories. I think I like this layout better. It makes more sense. It kind of closes in the kitchen a little bit. With the original layout, the goal, I had really wanted twisty stairs, which I did not achieve, unfortunately. I had really, which the kind of vibe is there, but the twistiness is not. Basically, I wanted that really like twisty loft vibe. I ended up giving up on like the loft vibe pretty quickly because of the layout of the house, because I didn't go in with a layout in my head. I just went in with a vibe. So when the house kind of turned into what it was, I was like, okay, I don't think the loft situation is gonna work. There's way too many roofs, which story of our lives, right? But I wanted like the twisty stair vibe. So I wanted you to be able to imagine like little kids looking through like the little posts and like watching like mom or dad tinker, you know, and build cool things, stuff like that, or listen to like the adults have adult conversations, and then it's the kickoff of their magical fairy adventure or whatever, you know. I was going for a very like Disney vibe. A very what is that movie? Is it Bedknobs and Broomsticks is the other one I'm thinking of? I also haven't seen that movie in like a decade, but like that kind of vibe, right? That very specific era of Disney that gave us all a little bit of emotional trauma. That one. So that's what I was trying to go for. And I think these stairs, where they are placed, still does that, because the little one could theoretically sit on those stairs in the room when it's quiet and dark in the evening and maybe listen to like mom and dad sit on the couch, or listen to dad and dad sit in the kitchen and like maybe make themselves a late night snack and talk about what they're going to do with the bills or whatever, and the kids, or like talk about St. Nicholas coming, or you know, whatever. There's stories to be told here. And I did go with a non-enchanted by nature. Honestly, there's not a lot of enchanted by nature in this house other than the apothecary stuff, because really it was that chimney and vibes. I saw that chimney and I was like, there is a story to tell here and I'm gonna do it, and that's where we're at. As we went on, I didn't care so much about the wood hues. I tried really hard to make everything in this house look like someone had built it. Varying levels of success, some of it more so than others. So it's very wooden, it's very brown, but I think it works. Like, this looks to me like someone could have built this dining set. And like I said, obviously we wanted it to look like someone put the windows in, someone was adding on, like, oh, we need a bathroom, so let's put a bathroom in, that kind of thing. I wanted it to look very like homespun, I guess. And I do think we get there in the end. And I did intentionally pick, I believe those are horse ranch cabinets. I believe those are the horse ranch cabinets in the kitchen, exactly for that same reason of like, I wanted a bunch of different wood tones and things like that. I do ultimately put these like older school lights in, because I wanted this build to look old. Originally, I was thinking, there was a brief moment where I thought to myself, what if this was an off-the-grid house? I think it very easily could be. I don't think there's a lot in here. There's no TVs. I don't believe there's a computer. So I don't think there's a lot of things that would actually like super require you to be on the grid, other than your lighting would leave. I ultimately did go with these lights because I like playing in a well-lit house. I don't do well in dark houses. Like, I just don't see very well. But there's a lot of lanterns and things in this house because I did very much want to give like that sort of cozy, almost camping vibe kind of thing. This is the office. It very easily could be a bedroom. Like, very easily could be a bedroom. And you could reconfigure the bathroom up here to be an ensuite. I was trying to avoid that because I didn't want the only bathroom with a tub and or a shower to be an ensuite, but you could set that up to be the master. It's also not the biggest bedroom, which makes it a little bit weird, but I guess it's like fine. I ended up setting it up as an office, and we'll come back to it. And here we're up in like the upper area, or that's gonna end up being like the apothecarist area, because it was a tower, and I wanted to include the new skill. And you don't have to be a fairy to be involved in the apothecary skill. In fact, it almost kind of seems to some degree like they're at odds, like they want you to pick one or the other. Obviously you can do everything. It certainly seems feasible. It has been with the sim I've been playing. The apothecary career seems a little busted right now. The apothecary skill might be a little weird right now. It might just be me, but anecdotally, it feels impossible. Like every time with the career, there are 3 options. You can work from home and get work from home tasks. That works fine. You can go to work like a rabbit hole. That works fine. You can see apothecary clients at home, which is like where it becomes like the interactive, like get to work careers. That has not yet worked for me. Every time someone comes, I can do all the investigation and stuff, and I have to because they don't look like they have an ailment at all. Like none of the ailments show up. And then I get to where it's like, okay, give them a cure. And like most of the investigation stuff will work. She'll like the last one I had, she was like, oh yeah, I just have the urge to create all the time, which is the like I think it's creative impulse ailment or something like that. And so I was like, okay, well I'll make you a creative impulse ailment, even though you don't have like the physical symptomology. I was like, okay. So I made that. I can't give her the cure because she doesn't have an ailment. And I was like, again? And this has happened multiple times. And then being a fairy, I was like, okay, well, I'll just cure her as a fairy because that's also an option you can have. And the game was like, no, there's no ailment here. So then she leaves and she's like, you're terrible at your job because you didn't cure me, but it won't let me cure her because she doesn't have an ailment. That part seems real busted. Maybe it's just me, but that part seems real busted. Also, when I say the apothecary skill seems kind of borked, I was going through the skill pretty reasonably, like on par with like the other skills in the game, like kind of building it up with consistent work and stuff, and it was going pretty good. And I hit like level 4 or 5 and it just straight up stopped. Like it was like I could have her do multiple cures or like study, and it was going up like 1 percentage point. It stalled out hard, dude. I don't know. So I put the apothecary stuff in here. Your mileage may vary. I'm sure they'll fix it if it is busted. But I was kind of like, after building this, I was like, the tower may never get used. In this main room here, I put those curtains up. I recognize there's not a bar across the top. We're gonna suspend our disbelief a little bit here and just pretend there's a bar across the top. Also, there's curtains in this like more private area upstairs, the office and the bedroom, or the 2 bedrooms if you choose to change it, and the bathroom. There aren't curtains downstairs because I frankly couldn't be bothered. You know me and curtains. We have a love-hate relationship. I love the way they look. I hate using them. You know, the usual. So there aren't any curtains downstairs, but also like pretty much all that's downstairs is the living room, dining room, and kitchen. So like it's the mortifying ordeal of being known, but on the same hand, it's The Sims, and you're probably okay. And yes, this window is split, and we are going to ignore it because it looks pretty from the outside. And honestly, it's okay. It's not great, but like again, if it's kind of like a weird house that's kind of been stacked on top of each other over the years, maybe a window does get cut in half like that. I don't know. Okay, this is something that bothered me that I've never noticed before until I was building this kitchen. And I'm going to point it out to you, and it's going to probably bother you now, and I'm really sorry. Do you see the trash can in the cabinet, the corner cabinet? Yeah, that's on all of the corner cabinets. Which, yeah, duh, Amanda, that makes sense because all corner cabinets are the same. But now there's 2 trash cans in this kitchen. And actually there's 3 because I have to put like a legitimate trash can in. Did I put a legitimate trash can in? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I put a legitimate trash can in. So we're going to pretend one is recycling, one is compost, and one is trash because that's a little upsetting. It's like actually kind of a lot upsetting. Here I just turned the cabinets up a little bit brighter so it looked more intentional. I wanted to make it very clear that I had picked different swatches and not that I had just oopsed. Oh, and I will say this little area is a little bit weird because I finally find what I'm like the kind of vibe I was trying to get here with. I just wanted something big and like hutchy kind of. It takes a while to get there, but I end up sizing the thing down so the shadowing is kind of weird over here. And I wish The Sims would, I don't even know. See, I sized it down quite a bit and you see the kind of shadow. It's not bad. I don't think it's like the end of the world, But it would have been nice if that shadow didn't happen. I do end up, I think, putting a lamp or something up there. I try to put something up there to make it less obvious. I can't remember what I do. And also because I sized that shelf down, the slots are going to be all weird. Good luck with that. Godspeed. I gave up. I just thought it looked like a nice shelf. I know it's bathroom stuff, but like it could be kitchen stuff. It's fine. And a little table over here. I thought it'd be a good place to put your keys. Put another lantern up there. Or maybe I put those candles. Yeah, I think I put those candles. And then I was trying to figure out what to put over there. I think I leave it. I wanted it to be like a little bit sparse, only because if you are a woodworker, you're probably going to make things to go in the house. And I did put a woodworking table out in the little shed area. We'll get out to decorating that a little bit more. Just very cozy and warm. This is one of those places where like once the fire is going, it's cozy. I don't think I took the screenshots with the fire because I don't think there's a sim on this lot, but it's cozy. I do have a sim in here now. I made a sim for this. I should have recorded it for the channel. I've really gotten out of the habit of recording my families for the channel, and I really should get on that. But I just don't think about it very often, you know? Like, usually when I go to use a build like this, it's because I'm, like, getting ready to go play with them, you know? Here we're in the little worker shed. This is just a box. So, honestly, you could put whatever hobby and or skill you wanted in here. I went with woodworking because it fits the whole vibe. Like, I've literally just spent the last, like, I don't even know how long telling you about this sim who, like, built this crazy house. So, obviously, I needed a work shed out here. But you could very easily turn this into like an artist shed, or you could make it a small business, and this could be like your business area if all you're going to do is sell things. It might be a little small for like a classroom, but also you could pop it out pretty easy. Although I will say it is on a diagonal, which makes some things wonky. So like just, you know, be advised, like temper your expectations for it. And then we do have a little greenhouse back here because so much of this pack is about gardening. I think pretty much any sim that lives in this world for any length of time is probably going to end up with a gardening skill, whether it is against their will or not. So I just put a very simple greenhouse. I didn't fuss around with it a ton because honestly, it's so decorative, the glass walls and stuff, that it didn't need a lot. And I don't know if this house is predominantly gardeny. Like, I don't know if like this house screams like a garden sim lives here. So it didn't need to be big. It just needed to exist, and it's easier to garden when your stuff is sheltered. It can be a little bit fussier when you have to actually deal with the seasons. The seasons are very, very fun, don't get me wrong. But if you're just trying to grow like an apothecary item, you maybe don't want to deal with the seasons, you know. So you could put, I think, 2 trees in there or a whole host of little plants. And honestly, you could probably put like some plant pots on the porch if you wanted, or even in the work shed if you wanted to. Like, there's lots of options here. Put lots of like kind of overgrown chaos garden around, as is my favorite. Put some paths down. Tried really hard to make it look kind of pathy. I don't know, jury's out on how that ended up looking. Jury's out on the paths, but I think it's okay. It looks unconventional. And of course I had to use that mailbox because it's the pack for it. Why wouldn't I? A couple of last minute things like a trash can. You know, the things I always forget and then have to add later before I put them on the gallery. That kind of thing. And a light over the door so that we are welcoming. And I think we just about button that up with all of the pretties around here. A couple of lights in here just so it glows in evening time. And screenshots. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and let you go because I've been talking your absolute ear off, but I hope you're having a good day and feeling loved. Please know that I love you. I'm glad you're here hanging out. You make the world a better place just by being you. I hope you like this build. I had a lot of fun building with it. It took a while, and it nearly broke me when it crashed, but I had a lot of fun. Hopefully we'll do a fairy house here soon. I'm really excited to take that challenge on, a little bit more out of my comfort zone, so it'll be a lot of fun. But anyways, I think that's all for me. Okay, love you, bye! Mwah.